Yesterday on Instagram, I asked you to ask me anything. And boy, did you ask questions. So today, I'm here to try and hammer answers to the, 50-something questions. So I'm going to do it as fast as I can. I might mention names, I might not mention names. Don't take it personally, please. Some of the questions are similar, so I'll just bundle all the answers together. So the idea is, your question will be answered. All right, so Max William 100 asked me who inspired me to start doing architectural photography, and I don't think it was anyone specific. My background is in architecture. I studied architecture in JKUAT. So when I graduated and started doing photography, I think I gravitated more towards buildings than other things. So it felt natural to just photograph buildings. And so that's how I started shooting architectural photography. That said, there are many guys that I look up to who do really good, whose names I've forgotten. One notable one is Mike Kelly. So you can check him out. How do I make sure clients pay me? How do I charge? How do I value my pictures? Okay. This I will give probably not a direct answer, but it will be an answer that might help you. I think you should not make anyone do anything. Over time, there are people who come with the intention of swindling you, and I've had my share of that. I've had clients who didn't pay me for the jobs that were done. I've had clients who paid. Over time, I've learned to sift between. Somehow, I think over years, you can see a client and figure out whether you want to do this or not. But I'll say sign contracts, that helps. If it's a corporate client, try get LPOs and stuff like that before you start working, or that will help you. For how much I charge, it varies from job to job, so I don't have specific fees for specific things. Some things do, some things don't, but yeah. And yeah, value, honestly, value is personal. Like, I can't tell you how much you're worth. That has to be a decision that you make yourself. Amina asked what best light for shooting in low light. Well, sounds like a trick question, Amina. I guess when there's low light, you have to figure out how to place the subject so that you make the most of the light that is actually available. Meaning, do you want to light them in rim light? You make sure that the light that is there is on one side. It just depends very much on where the source of light is. That will help you make the decision on how to shoot. She also asked me when the last time I had a full night was. I don't remember. Cedric, Everyday People Stories, asking, am I coming to SA or nah? I'm coming to SA soon. Mauhuba asking, did I take any photography or editing course? Or am I self-taught? Well, I am self-taught to some extent, but it's more YouTube University. Like, I learned most of my things on YouTube. I asked so many people questions about photography, about stuff, but if I didn't know how to do something, all I did is go online and try figure out, because someone else has done it. So I don't need to figure it out by myself. So I'd go online, Google and find the answer to whatever I was asking. Most people have tutorials on YouTube. Some people do, so that's how I learned. Someone else asked, how do I keep old clients as your price goes up? Look, in life, everything goes up. It's just the way life is. Like, even the price of bread now is not what it was 5 years ago. So I guess if a client is not comfortable with it, then we have to part ways. But anyone who is thinking logically knows that the prices in 2 years won't be the same as they were a year ago. Canon versus Nikon. Come on. How can one perfect their art when shooting with no photography camera or editing software? That's by Fidelmas. Well, I think I'm a living embodiment of the fact that software or equipment is not what makes the art. It's how the artist is the one who comes and manipulates whatever software, whatever hardware is there to make the art that they want to make. So if you really want to make something, you will figure out how to make it within the resources you have. If you look at other people to compare, that's when you might feel like it's a problem that you want to make something someone else has made and you don't have the resources they have. So what I'd say is focus on what you want to achieve and then work within your means to achieve it. She wants people to hate me. But I think one of the most annoying is when you get invited to weddings and get asked to carry your camera. Just, in case you see any interesting shot to take, just take it. Guys, seriously, stop. It's like asking a doctor to just come to a wedding with, the injections, just in case anyone needs a vaccine. Also, the whole, can we use your images or can you shoot for us for free? We'll give you credit. Like, seriously, no. If we could use credit in the supermarket, we will gladly accept credit. So let me stop there. She also asked whether I'll be putting any African parent pressures on on my children. And yeah, of course, I must put African parent. How will he know that his parent is an African? But seriously, on some things, I don't know. I think we are a product of our upbringing. So some things I might put pressure even without knowing. But what I intend to do, wifey and I, we intend to have fun with our children. We'll be the most annoying parents on Parents' Day. We'll make sure we go up there to sing boring songs and make sure that all his friends know us. Wheat is asking when I'm making... Surely, wait. The next batch of choc chip cookies. Stay close. Someone whose name I can't even pronounce. Ikro? I don't know. Anyway, but his question is where he can start off getting job spots and whether he can join on a photo shoot. Okay, this is what I'll say. The thing about photography is that I always believe that you have to be doing a lot of your own work even before other people take an interest in giving you work. I always believe in having personal work, things that you are interested in doing before you even shoot for clients. Because if you just start out shooting for clients, then your identity will end up being what people tell you to shoot. So keep shooting, keep sharing your work, and people will notice you somehow. Shiko Daisy asking about their first camera. I'll just tell you what I tell everyone. Go to kenrockwell.com because that's where I get all my information about photography, equipment. That's why I get reviews and stuff like that. I really can't tell you what camera to buy because that will be a lie. I've not used all cameras in the world. Fluff Button asking what's my favorite part about living in Nairobi. Nairobi is the coolest city to live in. I mean, we have our problems, but seriously, I don't think I would live anywhere else or live far away from Nairobi. Favorite part is the sun. I mean, as a photographer, the sunsets, sunrise in Nairobi is the most beautiful thing. And walking in the streets, the energy on the streets, I love it. Steph asking me if I have a best friend. I don't do very well with best friends. I have a couple of friends who are close. Push. This is a very silly question. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? I've given that much thought. And I think one horse-sized duck might be easier to beat. Especially if it's as awkward as ducks are. Maybe I can run away from it. I think. Lynch Atong asking whether I've thought of doing tutorials. Once in a while I do, but it's not a core thing of what I do. It's something that I would only do if I had time, which at the moment seems to be hard to find. And okay. Tuxi, I hope that's how you pronounce your name, asking how is my setup when I'm taking pictures, and as a start, can a Samsung Note 4 or 3 be considered in professional work? Okay, what I'd say is that mobile phones for professional work, I'd advise no, because the quality and the output that comes from them and the amount of control you get over a picture cannot be compared to maybe a DSLR or something else like that. So for professional work, no. But for work that is, your own personal work, definitely many camera phones now can take amazing pictures. Also, if you're using a camera phone, works very well for things with a very large depth of field, like shooting landscapes. Mostly landscapes and stuff like that. Cityscapes depends. If it's during the day, you can. Yeah. And about joining on shoots, we always do Insta meets. I'm always combining with the guys from Eagers Nairobi and IG Kenya. So if you follow them and there's Insta meets, I'd ask you to join anytime. Okay, so Siok's asking where the old photos he used to steal. You guy, they are wherever you used to steal them from. I hope you've started crediting when you use them. Made Brand asking how I grade landscapes, how I grade my pictures, or is it a filter? Yes and no. I edit my pictures on Lightroom and Photoshop. And on Lightroom, I also use Visco film. So sometimes it's not really a filter. On Lightroom and Photoshop, it's a lot more complicated. It's like you control every single way the way I want. If I want the blues bluer, if I want the oranges oranger, if I want it darker, there's more control there. Sarkovu asking what makes you keep your cool and remain level-headed in the game. I don't know if I'm that cool or level-headed, but I'd say if I think about me being a photographer, and I think about it, if I think about being a photographer 50 years from now, then I think many of the things I'd be worried about now stop worrying me. Like, yeah, when I look at the end from the beginning, like I said in the other video, it makes more sense to let some things go or to focus on the bigger picture other than, the small things. Obado, yes, that's a K-zoom that I was using. Okay. So there's a few people asking about inspiration. I'm going to bunch it all together. Asking how I keep myself inspired and what inspires me. What I'd say is there are many things. I think every single day, things I see, my life, I find a lot of inspiration on things. When I go home, from my children, from my wife, from God, from life in Nairobi, there's so many small things in nature that are so inspiring that I think I find it hard not to be inspired on a daily. That said, I'm learning over the past 1-2 years. I'm learning not to rely on inspiration to get work done. I remember this guy whose name, of course, now under pressure I can't remember, but he was talking about if you keep waiting for the bolt of lightning to hit you so that you can get some work done, then you might not end up doing a lot of creative work. So I'm trying now to work every day, whether or not I'm inspired, to just keep at it so that, when I'm inspired, good, I get more work done. When I'm not, I still get work done. Kinaya asking if there's a freelance market for graphic design. And yes, in Kenya, I believe it is there. I'm not in that market, so I can't speak for them. But I think times have changed, and now there's so much more we can do in Nairobi that we couldn't do a few years ago. Kanzisa asking if any of the knowledge I gained while studying architecture influenced my work. And yes, I think if I didn't study architecture, I might not even be a photographer right now. Architecture taught me so much that I'm applying. From architecture, I learned how to be long-suffering. When you've studied for 6 years, believe me, there are a few things that, you can't deal with. So that, the way I see, and the fact that I shoot architectural photography, I shoot buildings and stuff like that, that is influenced by the study of architecture. Okay, so Josie Ndiho asked me about what camera I use, about interning. So I will... Okay, so I shoot on, professionally I use a Nikon D610. I use it with a 50 1.8, 85 1.8, and a 14 2.8. When I'm traveling or when I'm shooting randomly, I also shoot using a Samsung Galaxy NX with a 45 1.8. I like that one especially for Instagram, or when I'm Instagramming on the quick, that's what I use. Interning, at the moment I have no position for interns, sorry. About finding your niche, honestly it's about shooting. The more you shoot, the more you'll realize what you like and what you don't. So shoot a lot, shoot a variety of subjects, shoot everything until you figure out what you like and what you don't. Sammy, is it Sam is it? I think. Asking what are the awesome places to photograph in Nairobi. You'll be visiting in November. So Karibu Kenya. I think you'll enjoy Nairobi so much. You have to shoot. If it's in the morning at sunrise, you can either go to the park, it has beautiful light, or you can shoot from the viewpoint. If it's on the streets, the streets are a good place to shoot. Fantastic light in some streets, stuff like that. But I think you can go through my Instagram and probably see many of the spots that I've shot from. And if you have any more questions, you can ask me and I'd be willing to answer. Okay, the African Kipepeo asking what inspired my hairstyle. Honestly, I don't know, it just happened. I grew up with a very strict dad. We never had any hairstyles beyond a clean cut in our lives. So I guess now it's just, the defiance. Now that I can, I do. So Shiro Mungai asking about what helped overcome the initial fear before I started photography. When it comes to fear is always there. Even now, I'm still afraid about where will I get jobs from? Will people still be willing to hire me a year from now, 2 years from now? We don't know, but that's the exciting thing about this, because it's you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. It's exciting times. So photography, I think, is not a place for someone who is too keen on, or too afraid of the future. It's a place where you have to take chances. So there are no steps to succeeding. It's just do it, shoot, put it out there, pray to God, and hope for the best. And if you're lucky, you'll enjoy the whole process. I shoot Kericho asking me what my favorite food and music is. Well, as I said, I don't do well with favorites. I like so many things. I like chapo, I like chicken, I like titot samosas. I love food. So I try not to discriminate. I don't want some food to feel bad that I like it more than another. And I listen to music a lot when I'm doing post-production. My album of the moment is John Gives. What's the album name? Soul Rebel. Yeah. Ian asking what is Blaze Kenya. Blaze is a platform for empowering young people. So if you're between 18 and 25, go on blaze.co.ke, register. Blaze is launching on 28th, so this is a good time to, get in and be one of the first adopters to see what happens. It's gonna be exciting, so, get on it early enough. Krug's asking me whether I use Mextures. I used to use Mextures when I had an iPhone, but I don't anymore, so, till I get one, I don't think I'll be using Mextures, but I download the Mextures and I use them on a lot of my edits. Well, not a lot, but on some. If something needs that grain, then I use Mextures on it. Kenny, someone asking about ensuring clients pay. I think we handled that earlier. So Esther asking about the feeling after leaving my job for photography, and do I ever feel like going back to my job? First, no. Even at the worst of the worst times, I've never felt like I wanted to go back to a desk job. And believe me, things have been rough, things have been hard. But none of those times have I thought, maybe I should go back to having a desk job. Photography is way too exciting, I think it's what I'm supposed to be doing, so I don't even think twice about it. So when I left, it was exciting and scary at the same time. The trick was just to push through the scary part and focus on the excitement that will come out of everything. So Krug's asking, apart from commercial work and personal projects, what would I shoot for? What gives me joy? Okay, for me, my personal work is actually what gives me the most joy. So the way I see photography, the commercial part is what clients pay me to shoot. Personal work is where I get to express myself. Many times I've been lucky that people have hired me based on my personal work, and so they give me commercial work that looks a lot like my personal work. Like when I get paid to travel and shoot, when I get paid to do architecture, that's stuff that I love to do and I do for myself, but I still sometimes get lucky enough to be paid to do. So Indy is asking me about roller skating. I don't roller skate. haven't done it for a while, but I know in town, in Nairobi, in the city center, there's a car park where people skate on Sundays, so you can check it out. And then Graka, is it Graka or Grasha? I don't know how you pronounce this name, but let's say Wango. Asking whether I will consider spending money on a photography class. Yes, I would. I think it's worth it. I think it's not for everybody. Like, if you can't, it's okay, because there's many other ways to learn photography than to go to school. But if you can go to school, if it's the only degree that you want to do, a degree in photography, why not do it? You'll learn so much more and you'll become so much better for it. The Bantu girl, about inspiration, I answered that. Steph asking me about if I could have a superpower. Flight, obviously, because aerial pictures. Okay, so Hey Sylvie asked whether creative excellence comes with an obligation to use it for a greater purpose. That's a tough question. But to me, I think in a way, yes. I think if you are given the chance to excel, or if you're given a platform to be able to inspire people, then you kind of have a responsibility to, make it easier for the people that come after you. I think you have a responsibility to showcase your work on a bigger platform than yourself. I often think that art is communication, and so if you have the chance to communicate on a bigger platform, I feel like in a way that there's a bit of a responsibility to use that for a greater good. That said, I wouldn't be one to pressure someone to use their art for a higher purpose, because I feel like that has to come from within. If it does, then if it comes from within, it will be the most awesome thing in the way that it will happen. But yeah. And so to the last Instagram question, woohoo! So Maestro Lens is asking asking how I broke out to actually live off my passion, because he's starting photography and first year in university. What I'd say is it's about taking chances. There is no guarantees in life, Take a chance. But interestingly, I've spoken more about this in part 2 that we shot and released last week. So go check it out, listen, and maybe that will inspire you. So Washira Mashari asking how you will do a time lapse for a construction project. And a time lapse is a time lapse. If you know how to shoot a normal time lapse for a construction project, is not any different, only that it's much longer, and you have to think about things like batteries for the cameras. You're probably going to be shooting over a year or a few months. So think of batteries. Are they solar? Is it a car battery that you're using? You have to think about the elements. Do you need to protect your camera? Dust, rain, stuff like that. How long do you have to take the picture for? Are you taking one picture every hour, one picture every minute? Depending on how much detail you want to capture. For a time lapse, the good thing is that you can use any camera. You don't have to use a high-end camera. So use one cheap camera, use a good lens, then the pictures will always be high res. There is Chule, Tony, and Thomas Agaba asking about my beard. It doesn't take superpowers to grow a beard. You either got it or you don't. If you don't, I'm sorry. If you do, there's only one way to grow a beard. Not shaving it. And Ngotoni. Anyway, asking what my process from ideas to post is. Well, in terms of shooting, for me it's always the end, seeing the end from the beginning. So I think about the product that I want to achieve. I think about how I want the image to visually look like. If there's people who've shot that and put it online, so I look online a lot, gather inspiration, put it in a folder, and then talk to the various people I need for the shoot. If I need models, if it's a building, I need to check about access, I need to figure out permissions and things like that. And then after I shoot, if I know what I want to achieve, then when I'm shooting, I will know whether I've achieved it or not. Editing is pretty direct. Again, it's driven by what the picture is supposed to look like in the end. Sometimes that changes, but the process is, fairly back and forth. That's, in a nutshell, that's how it is. It's can be more complicated, but that's generally how it is. Ham asking me about balancing work, fun, and family. Honestly, the simplest way to define that is that I really choose the projects that I do. If something is not, if something is going to take my time but is not beneficial to me in the long term, then I try avoid it. So I try as much as possible not to make decisions on the job, on the work I take, based on my bank account balance. Because then I will end up taking any job that comes. And when you're a freelancer, it's easy to tie yourself down with so much work, some of which is not even valuable. So for me, I really choose the work that I do. Thankfully, I work from home, so I hang out with my family a lot, except when I'm out shooting. And Kelly asking about shooting together. Come on an Insta meet. Anytime we have Insta meets, we announce them on my page. They're announced on my Instagram, rather, Truth Slinger. They're announced on IG Kenya and Igas Nairobi. So if there's a Insta meet, come. For sure, you'll find me there and we'll shoot together. And then Millie is asking about tips for taking good pictures of yourself while traveling solo. Interesting question. Okay. If you want to take good pictures of yourself, I'd say don't make it a selfie. You can do more than that, but you will need a tripod. You'll need, if you're shooting using a camera, you'll need the small stand and a small tripod. All you need is a tripod, put it in position, put your camera on self-timer. 10 seconds is enough. Set it up, run to the position of the shoot, and shoot. You will look weird to other people around you, but hey, that doesn't matter when you have an awesome shot. They will be liking it on Instagram later. So yeah, there we go. Over 70 questions answered. If it's a long video, it's not my fault. You guys asked the questions. So I'm done. Thank you for the questions. So hi. If it's the first time that you're seeing this video, welcome. Thank you for viewing. We've been shooting several videos, about my journey from starting photography to my journey to my photography right now, and the things that inspire me. And it's something that has been a long time coming, but that I'm very happy to share with you guys. So if you haven't seen anything before, check out part one. Part one was more about what inspires me, why I shoot the images that I shoot, my favorite spots of shooting in the city, and we followed during a shoot. So it's really exciting if you want to have an idea of what I do and where I'm at right now. Then we did part two, which was more about my past, how I started, what made me stop my day job as an architect to go into photography, the challenges that were there while starting up to now. Focused on the past, get into photography, stuff like that. Really good if you're kind of getting into it right now. So yeah, check that out. We are releasing part 3 really soon. So, look out for that. And if you haven't, subscribe right now, subscribe to the channel. We'll probably be shooting a lot more cool videos in the future about stuff, photography, life, things like that. So yeah, thanks for watching.